Have you ever stopped to think about how much of your anguish comes from your obsession with control? No, I'm not just talking about external control, work, bills, deadlines, the relentless forward march of the routine. I'm talking about the quiet tyrant within, internal control. It's that suffocating need for certainties, the desperate desire to know what will happen tomorrow, next month, next year. It's the compulsion to perfectly understand who you are, what you want, and where you're going, as if your own identity were a map with a fixed destination. Society has taught you to seek definitive answers, to build your life on a foundation of solid, unshakable truths, as if it were a mathematical equation. We're conditioned to believe that a well-lived life is a well-planned life. But the truth that few have the courage to face, is that this obsession with certainty distances you from what you desire most: peace. Perhaps you are tired, exhausted from the mental gymnastics of trying to predict the unpredictable, from crafting perfect, intricate plans that crumble at the slightest breath of chance. You live in the limbo of anxiety, a gray, featureless landscape where every uncertainty becomes a looming threat, where the unknown feels like a monster hiding in the shadows, an enemy to be defeated. Every unexpected phone call, every change of plans, every moment of doubt sends a jolt of panic through your system. But what if the problem isn't the uncertainty itself? What if the real poison is your refusal to accept it? What if the cage is not the world's randomness, but your own demand for a guarantee that life simply cannot give? Michel de Montaigne, a French thinker from the 16th century, understood this before any of us. While the world around him was fractured by religious wars, seeking dogmas and absolute truths to cling to, he did something revolutionary. He looked inward. He observed his own mind, his oscillating moods, his fears, his inconsistencies, and dared to write about all of it with a brutal, disarming honesty. He wrote not as someone who had found the answers, but as someone who learned to live more gracefully with the questions. And that is the shift you need right now. No more frantic searching for certainties, but a new, more peaceful relationship with what cannot and should not be controlled. Montaigne was not an ordinary philosopher. He did not ascend to pulpits or try to force the messy, chaotic world into neat, rational formulas. He wrote from within his own skin, from the solitude of his experience. Sitting in his library, a tower that was both a physical fortress and a sanctuary for his mind, surrounded by books and silence, he decided to investigate the most unstable and mysterious object that exists: himself. His texts are not treatises that demand agreement, they are mirrors. He did not write to convince you of a doctrine, but to invite you to think, to doubt, to question, to look within yourself without fear, or rather, despite the fear. Unlike other thinkers who sought universal, eternal truths, Montaigne embraced the opposite. He admitted he did not know, and the more he lived, the more he traveled, the more he read, the more he realized that knowing little about the world, and even less about himself, was not a flaw. It was a rare and profound wisdom. He constantly returned to his guiding question: que sais-je? What do I know? He asked this not as a provocation or as a sign of nihilistic despair, but as a genuine starting point. Because admitting ignorance for him was not an intellectual failure. It was a liberation. It was permission to stop pretending, to stop the exhausting maintenance of masks. It was lifting the crushing burden of having to be someone right, complete, coherent, and impenetrable. The modern world in many ways rejects this humility. We live in an era where one must have an opinion about everything: a personal brand, a 5-year plan, certainties as sharp as blades. Social media asks us to present a finished, polished version of ourselves, a highlight reel of successes and clear-cut beliefs. But Montaigne offers us the opposite: the chance to be human before being ideological. He believed that our fragility, our doubts, our shifting moods, and our contradictions are not weaknesses to be corrected, but are the essential, vibrant parts of what makes us truly alive. Montaigne allowed himself to change his mind. He contradicted himself, sometimes on the very same page. He admitted that what he thought with conviction yesterday might not hold true today. He wasn't being fickle, he was being honest. He understood the natural, fluid movement of the human mind, which molds, adapts, and transforms with every new experience and every passing thought. Constancy, he might say, is a virtue for stones and statues, not for living, breathing beings. When you truly accept that unpredictability is the nature of your own mind and of life itself, the fear that comes from the illusion that you must control every outcome begins to dissolve. An unexpected event is no longer a personal failure. It is simply part of the landscape. A moment of confusion is not a crisis. It is a moment of being human. This is not apathy or resignation. It is the very essence of resilience. It is finding your footing on shifting ground. And perhaps that is exactly what you need to hear now. That you no longer need to uphold false certainties to be worthy. That you don't need to know everything to move forward. That it's okay to be incomplete, a work in progress. In fact, it is the only way to be. So let me ask you this, and feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below. What is one belief you've held on to too tightly, one certainty about yourself or the world that might be causing you more stress than security? Letting go of that belief isn't just a philosophical idea, it's a daily practice. Montaigne's essays were his own form of practice. He didn't write to present a polished, finalized version of himself, but to explore the messy, beautiful chaos of his own mind. Journaling, without judgment or the need for coherence, can be our modern version of this. It's a way to see our thoughts not as absolute truths carved in stone, but as passing weather in the vast sky of our minds. Today might be stormy, tomorrow clear. The sky remains. Think of it like a sailor. A sailor plots a course using all their knowledge and skill, but once at sea, they know the wind and the waves are ultimately in charge. The sailor's true skill lies not in commanding the sea, but in reading its moods and adapting to them with respect and flexibility. They tack and trim the sails, moment by moment. Adaptability, not rigid control, is the true superpower. Rigidity causes the mast to snap in a storm. And in this practice, we must have a sense of humor. Montaigne encourages us to laugh at our own follies, at our desperate, serious attempts to control an uncontrollable world. When you can look at your own anxiety with a gentle, compassionate amusement, you rob it of its dark, oppressive power. You see it for what it is, an overzealous attempt by your mind to protect you from a future that hasn't happened yet. There is a beautiful and profound paradox here. The more we chase control, the more tightly we grip the steering wheel, the more powerless and out of control we feel. Our knuckles are white, our shoulders are tense, yet we feel more tossed about than ever. Yet when we consciously let go, when we surrender to the natural unfolding of life, we find that things often fall into place with a grace we could never have manufactured. Love, creativity, insight, and joy. These things are rarely the result of a master plan. They arrive when we create space for them, when we are open to the unexpected. For years, you may have believed that your stress was the necessary price of success and security, but Montaigne offers a different path. He teaches that true strength is not found in a clenched fist, but in an open hand. It is the courage to live without all the answers, to find peace not in the illusion of certainty, but in the graceful acceptance of life's beautiful, unpredictable dance. In this video, I want to propose this different path, a lighter, more spacious, and much braver way to face life. I want to show you through Montaigne's timeless wisdom that when you stop resisting the unknown, something fundamental changes. Anxiety loses its grip, the constant pressure diminishes, and for the first time in a long time, life begins to seem simpler. But be careful. This simplicity doesn't come from the outside. It's not a change in the world. The world will continue to be its chaotic self. It's an internal revolution, and it starts now in this moment when you decide to let go, to abandon the illusion of control, and to walk with me, not towards a destination of definitive answers, but towards a new way of being in the world. Are you ready? Because this journey, unlike anything you've been taught, begins with 3 simple words: I don't know. And then a quiet addition, and that's okay.